Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Although it was the hottest weekend probably on record ever in September in England. The temperatures dropped greatly. We came out for a walk thinking, but it's actually a little chilly.
But I love this weather. It's a breath of fresh air. Literally. We're on a sunny beach.
Yeah, you can see.
England.
We're in Aldenham Reservoir, Aldenham Park. So it's just Aldenham Reservoir.
Alright,
to read.
Canto 4, Chapter 8, verse 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I kept the beat on my foot. Right, verse 17. This incident was unbearable to Suniti's patience.
That's 16.
Oh, let me readjust.
Then keep the beat with your foot next time.
Alright, 17. She also was breathing very heavily, and she did not know the factual remedy for the painful situation. Not finding any remedy, she said to her son, "My dear son, don't wish for anything inauspicious for others. Anyone who inflicts pains upon others suffers himself from that pain." Yeah, but initially it's quite nice.
I can always count on my wife to contradict the Shastra.
Text 18.
Oh, no, hey.
What? There's no purport.
That's alright. This is.
I forgot we got the Nitai purport.
Right.
Even though Prabhupada did not deem it. But anyway, we're going to rewrite the Bhagavatam with the Nitai purports.
The thing is that this is very, very valuable.
Look at my hair.
Very valuable Shastric information that Suniti is giving an important instruction that no matter what someone does to us, we shouldn't wish harm to them. We shouldn't blame, as Prabhupada used to say, the instruments of our karma because a person delivers what we need or creates this circumstance or situation which moves us on or sends us in a certain direction. It's like we get all upset if there's a roadblock. Meanwhile, if the roadblock wasn't there, maybe we would have run into something or something, So Krishna may be arranging so many things, but sometimes he has to use, sometimes he has to use his devotees in doing that. But regardless, we should try not to wish bad of someone else. And part of an exhibition of our Krishna consciousness would be that we're able to remain equipoised in the face of upset and anger or being distressed by some incident that has happened. It's not an easy thing, but of course not much of Krishna consciousness is easy. Even the chanting part is not so easy. So I think it's an important point and one that should be noted and taken on board.
By the whole world.
At least by whoever listens to this.
Alright, text 18. Suniti said, "My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi is so, because the king your father does not consider me his wife or even his maidservant. He feels ashamed to accept me. Therefore it is a fact that you have taken birth from the womb of an unfortunate woman, and by being fed from her breast you have grown up." A bit dramatic, but...
But you are the Bhagavatam.
I mean, when I read this, I think about how important it is for parents to instill a sense of self-confidence in their children. when I read this. So it's like, oh, you taken birth from an unfortunate woman. It doesn't bring the boy up in the right consciousness. And we have a lot of problems in life because parents are not very good, and they, you know, you may think you feed them and you clothe them and give them and, you know, send them to school, but words are very important in how you make a child feel in terms of their self-worth, is how they go out into the world, you know, and behave with other people, work colleagues, future spouses, whatever. It's very, so yeah, that's how when I read that, I think it's a shame she has that mentality, which is caused by a man. Often it is, in this case, King Uttanapad, who took on 2 wives and was not able to look after them. So really, you shouldn't have done that as well. It's not nice. And now look.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I really got from this that she was bearing her heart and her own upset. Of course, she is bearing it to her son. Not much he can do about it, but he's upset. So in one sense, you could say there's a level of empathy there, because he's feeling that, and she expresses that, yeah, I'm also feeling it, you know. So I get it. I get where you're at, Dhruva. And but as far as these things being caused by a man or a specific individual, although it's another very difficult thing, but we have to take responsibility for how we allow something to affect us.
So says a man.
So says a man, yes, of course. But, you know, it's like it's a hot day, and I can moan and complain all day about how hot it is, and the next day it's cold and I moan and complain about that. That's generally how we conduct ourselves, let's be honest. But do we use our intelligence to control our mind and think, yes, you know, mata sparshas, what is it? Mata sparshas dukuntaya, shitoshno sukha dukkha daha, gamapiyeno nichas tams tiksha shravava, that the, you know, the hot and cold and is like the changing of the seasons, you know, and we have to learn to tolerate these things without being disturbed. But the fact remains that we are living entities who have emotions, and we are going to be upset and affected. But I think, as we said once before, for me, it's I just want to keep practicing. How quickly can I? What is it?
Bounce back.
Yeah, what's my bounce back rate? How quickly can I bounce back to just be like, it's okay. Hey, I just need to remember Krishna's hand in this, and what do I need to learn? And let me just keep going forward. Otherwise, what happens is, it's like, you know, I just picture like you get chains and hooks stuck into you, and it just drags you down and down and down. So
True.
And I agree, men can do that, but we have to recognize that women can also do the same thing. And people do it to each other all the time. Men do it to men, and women do it to women. And the sense of, you know, they can, or men can be like, or just off the cuff say something stupid, you know. So it's a perpetual thing. Let us not get into the feministic or misogynistic mood.
Alright, text 19. My dear boy, whatever has been spoken by Suruchi, your stepmother, although very harsh to hear, is factual.
There we go.
Therefore, if you desire at all to sit on the same throne as your stepbrother Uttama, then give up your envious attitude and immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother. Without further delay, you must engage yourself in worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The harsh words used by Suruchi to her stepson were true, because unless one is favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot achieve any success in life. Man proposes, God disposes. Suniti, the mother of Dhruva Maharaj, agreed with her co-wife's advice that Dhruva engage himself in the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Indirectly, the words of Suruchi were benediction for Dhruva Maharaj, for because of the influence of his stepmother's words, he became a great devotee.
So dramatic.
But this is what we were saying in the previous reading, how, yes, you know, when she first said that, Suruchi was saying out of adversity, feels like things are falling apart, but they may be just falling into place. So
Nice.
for sure, out of that, yeah, someone who's negative could have advised, like Suniti could have said something else, like, oh, that little beep, I never liked her, don't know who she thinks she is, and could have set up her son in such a failure type of way, you know. But actually she's like, okay, this is what your stepmother said, and believe it or not, there's some merit in it. Take shelter of the Lord, boy. And she clearly has that relationship with him of influence, where, because not everyone would listen to their parents like that, and that show that clearly they have that relationship where she can say that knowing he'll do it. And he does in such a glorious way. So that I agree that out of when we have tests and challenges, there's always, like they say, some silver lining, or what lesson, or how can I better myself, you know. Yeah, it's interesting because we had for 3 days we were at the devotee care stall or booth, listening booth at the manor. So it was very interesting when people are coming and sharing their tests. And there's a dog coming now. I might jump in a minute, I might not. But a lot of times those who are coming, we were trying to see how it could be for their benefit, or how they could better themselves out of that. You know, it's just interesting that they came with one mood, but they felt lifted in another way. Some, most. But anyway.
Yeah, very powerful points. The silver lining, seeing the Lord's hand. I really appreciate it. It's like, although what I was just saying, yes, Suniti is revealing her own heart and mind and expressing, yeah, this has happened to me. But then she says, what really strikes me is she says, although it's harsh to hear, it is factual. It's a fact. What she said wasn't a lie. And then she says, give up your envious attitude. You're envious of your brother. You're envious of her situation. You know, you want that love, you want that attention, and you're not getting it, and another person is. So you're the envious one. So you have to give that up. And, then she says, immediately try to execute the instructions of your stepmother, which was basically go to the, take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. And Prabhupada extrapolates that, we can't make any progress if we don't take shelter of the Lord. So, so in that sense, it's a factual situation. It's true what she's saying. Now, whether she meant it's factual, all the other things that she said, which I think she did, but even if we're in a situation where someone is accusing or saying things about us that may not actually be factual, there may be some essence that can be taken away from that situation that is factual. So I remember once a senior devotee was asked, what do we do if people are gossiping about us and saying all untrue things? And the senior devotee said, well, of course, gossip, we shouldn't, it's not wanted in our society. It's not something you should speak to the authorities. But, he said, if someone is gossiping about you and they're saying untrue things, he said, you should be so humble that you can go to that person and you can say, my dear Prabhu or Mataji, whatever, you're saying so many untrue things about me. Please just sit here for a moment and let me tell you some true things about me that you obviously don't know, and then at least you can tell people the true things. Now, of course, that stops you in your tracks. You think, and why does it stop you in your tracks? Because you realize that there are true things probably that people don't know about, that if they were to talk about, you'd be in the same situation. So in one sense, maybe you should consider yourself lucky that they're telling untruths and just tolerate it and get on with life. Otherwise, if they started telling the truth, you'd really be in a pickle. At least you can kind of say, well, these things aren't true, and you can carry on. So Krishna can be so kind sometimes, but we think it's harsh. Why are they saying such wrong things? But anyway, I thought it was very powerful. This is such good instructions.
Yeah, nice pastor.
Yes, we will have to work on this can be one of our courses to prepare.
Definitely.
So, let's go. I've got all these things are highlighted.
Oh dear.
Should we carry on there? Okay, so next verse, and we'll finish with this one, I think. Suniti continued, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping His lotus feet, your great-grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired the necessary qualifications to create this universe. Great-grandfather, Lord Brahma. Imagine if Lord Brahma was your great-grandfather.
What is this?
It's a beetle.
Oh.
Well, there's plenty of bugs around here, don't there?
Oh my God, if it comes towards me, I might have to leave.
Here we go, bug drama again. Okay, although He is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, He is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life air, prana. Okay. Purport. Suniti cited the example of Lord Brahma, who was Dhruva Maharaj's great-grandfather. Although Lord Brahma is also a living being, by his penance and austerity, he acquired the exalted position of creator of the universe by the mercy of the Supreme Lord. To become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities. There you go again, like we were talking about it earlier. Stop looking at the bug. It's all right.
I need to make sure it goes.
He's going. So, did you hear what we just said?
Yeah.
What did we just say?
Repeat it for the audience.
International Society for Bug Consciousness. ISBON. ISBCON. So it says to become successful in any attempt, one not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which interestingly enough, as Queen Kunti prays, when there are calamities and difficulties, we take more shelter of the Lord.
This talking about this point of
just before now, yeah, because we're reading another book, Civilization and Transcendence, with our Grihastha group. Remember the 4 pages a day thing. Anyone, just read Prabhupada's books. Please just read Srila Prabhupada's books. 1 page a day. I encourage some devotees at the weekend. They were saying, oh, I'm reading this, reading that. And I was like, why don't you just read Bhagavatam? Just read 1 page a day. I said, in 30 days, you're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe how far I am into the Bhagavatam. And just do it, whatever you can manage. But anyway, we were discussing that because it was talking about penance and austerity, right? And it was asked, is it required? And Prabhupada said, absolutely it's required.
Yeah.
There has to be austerity. There has to be some penance.
To make progress. Not just for the sake of there has to be.
Yeah, perfect.
To make progress.
This indication had been given to Dhruva Maharaj by his stepmother and was now confirmed by his own mother. So I made a note here that the family lineage is given, and Brahma is Dhruva's great-grandfather. I mean, of course, Lord Brahma is also our the acharya or the head of our sampradaya. But to have Lord Brahma as your great-grandfather, that's incredible. And it's also important to point that, that austerity is not enough. So that's good. That's kind of takes another take. Austerity is required, but it's not enough. It's not just austerity alone that will get you some benediction, but you have to be dependent on the mercy of the Lord, and that is paramount.
Yes,
so these are
that's a good point, because when we were, like, anyway, over the years you meet lots of different devotees, and especially when they knew whatever, and they do a lot of, oh yeah, I'm gonna get up at this time, or I'm gonna chant this, and it's interesting. But I would speak to them, it's like you're getting caught up in the process, or almost like a regimental type of sadhana,
ritualistic,
but you could see it would harden the heart, and it wasn't softening in it, and they weren't rising to levels of transcendence, as it were, but actually getting kind of grouchy and annoyed. And it's interesting. No, but it's
true. I agree 100%.
Because the Krishna element wasn't there, because we can very easily get so subtle on this path to get distracted, actually, so many different ways, and you see that. So they do that side of it, fastings and this and this and this, and 4 months of chaturmas and all this, but the all important aspect, which is the bhakti, the heart, love, Krishna, it's not there. It's really interesting, and so they become different people. But one quick point, because I know we got to go now, and we're sitting on a tree stump, and it's affecting my bottom. But is that okay? Suniti's accepting what your stepmom. Oh look, lovely. She's recognizing the instruction my stepmom actually was harsh, but it's good, and we were saying like that as well. But Suruchi, one point to bear in mind is she never gave it in a positive way. Her point was, if you want to sit on your father's lap, you got to take birth from my womb and go, it was like mocking almost, you go and worship God and see if you can get that mercy. So interesting. The irony is, it was the perfect advice, but she didn't give it. She was mocking and being harsh.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, which goes to show exactly what I said earlier, that it's not about what someone gives you and how they give it to you. It's about how you receive it and how you determine within your own intelligence and consciousness how to accept it and utilize it. Like that time Srila Prabhupada in Amsterdam was trying to do the yajna, and he told them to bring fruits to decorate the yajna stall and the kun. And they brought fruit salad, and Prabhupada by that time had become so fried, he just started shouting. And then one hippie guy was sitting in the audience, and he said, "Hey, Swamiji, chant Hare Krishna and be happy." And Prabhupada was like, "That is the best advice I've heard all day." So he just started chanting.
God, right?
So it's all a matter of it actually don't give away your power to someone else and allow them to control you by the way they say something or what they say. We have to take shelter of Krishna and see Krishna's hand in whatever happens in our life, and that means whatever. That's not easy, but Krishna, either we believe Krishna is there in the heart of every living entity, he's in our heart, he's in every atom of matter, and he is ultimately the controller of everything. And especially if I'm chanting his holy names or trying to be a devotee and inviting him into my life daily and regularly, then we have to believe that he's in our life, even when things happen to us that we don't like.
But we're not going to blame Krishna. It's easier to blame the devotees. We don't see it like, oh, Radha, Krishna, Landanishwar, Radha, Gokulananda, what will you be doing? You're not going to do that in the first instance. Maybe you might eventually, I don't know. but initially it's just the person you can see. Oh, that authority, or that devotee, or that one,
The Lord has a plan for us, and sometimes he has to use intense methods to get us to shift, move, or learn a lesson. Anyway, we're going to close now.
Go, because this tree stump is not feeling good.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Please read the Bhagavatam. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jai.